Hi guys, last time I came and sat down and did a video like this where I just sat in bed and talked to you was my like a chat when I was sick and I had sinus infection. But today I wanted to actually give you like a little insight. So today I went for an MRI of my heart. I can talk to you guys about when I was in the hospital in 2017, and I found out I had a fast heart rate, and I've been on medication pretty much since then for that. But every year I do have to go back to my cardiologist and just get like an update and like a refill and stuff like that. So this year when I went, I got my EKG, which is like a test of your heart, and my doctor said that it was more irregular than normal. So it wasn't just fast, it was like just irregular. It could be caused by a lot of things and it could be totally like benign, but because it is irregular, it could cause problems for me down the line. And so I don't know if I shared this on social media, but I had a Holter monitor, which is pretty much a heart monitor that you wear on your chest for 24 hours. It was a nightmare. It was so uncomfortable. It's heavy and I hated it, but I did it. And it really reminded me how good I'm doing with my anxiety, because when they first wanted me to do that in 2017, I was like, nope, not gonna happen. But I did it like all of a sudden the day they told me like you need to do it. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, just get it over with, which made me feel good that I did it. But when the results came in, they were normal. He said that everything was fine and my heart rate only went up a few times and like came back down normally. Hey, birdie, stop messing with the food. Yeah, so he said that was normal, and then I had to schedule an MRI because he wants to make sure that what's wrong with my heart isn't something like more severe, something that only an MRI could pick up on, something like a valve problem or something like that. So I had to go for an MRI, which I was not excited about. I've had a CAT scan before when that was bad enough. A CAT scan is kind of like a donut and your body goes through the hole, but a MRI, I'll put in a picture of one. It's not the same thing. It's pretty much like it's like you feel like you're in a coffin, essentially, but it's even like smaller. Like if you were in a coffin, the top is kind of like rounded, and I mean, if you've ever been in a tanning bed, which I hope you haven't, but I have when I was a teenager, there's more space in there. Like you can see, also you can get out whenever you want. This is not like that, and an MRI is totally different, and I am highly claustrophobic. I mean, I'm claustrophobic in situations where claustrophobic people aren't even always claustrophobic, like any kind of room that doesn't have a window. Like some people have a half bath that doesn't have a window. It like really bothers me. Even waiting in a line or in a crowd, like I am very, very claustrophobic. So I was very nervous about this test. I like put it off for a long time, and I just knew that I was gonna have a hard time with it. Bug, get down from there. Come on. So before I went, I looked up online like what to expect. I knew I had to take out my earrings, which I did. I haven't put them back in yet. Hey! And I knew obviously I couldn't have any metal on, but online when you look up like what to expect from an MRI, I mean, every website's a little bit different, but I looked at like not just WebMD, but like Healthline and oh my god, I can't even remember, but like a couple of different ones, and a lot of them kind of overlapped, but for the most part they said you should be able to wear your own clothes as long as there's no metal. So like I couldn't wear a regular bra with a clasp, so I wore a sports bra that's all cotton, and it says that you should be able to not only have earplugs because it's very loud, like when you're in that machine it's like a lot of banging and beeping, and like it literally feels like you're laying on the ground of a street that's being jackhammered. Like that's what it is. I mean, still, me and my mom were talking about it, like it boggles my mind that, you know, we've sent people to space and like a computer is the size of your hand, but you can't make the MRI machine silent. And of course, like they do now make MRI machines that are open on the sides so that you don't feel so stuck in this little tube, but of course that's not the one I was in. But anyways, yeah, I was looking it up and it made it kind of seem not as bad as it is. And when I was looking up to see how long it would take, most of them said between 20 and 45 minutes, and I thought, oh my god, let's just hope it's on the 20 minute side. But because it's a cardiac MRI, it was the longest one. It's the longest one they have because it's not just like looking at a muscle, like if you have shoulder pain or something like that, your heart's constantly beating, and for it to get the images, your lungs can't be moving, so they have to ask you to hold your breath continuously and then breathe, and it's like this whole thing. And I'm very bad with doctors. I'm very bad with like medical things, and like I've been doing a lot better with my anxiety, like with white coat syndrome and all that stuff, but still it was something that made me very, very nervous. I am so claustrophobic, and I just got so freaked out. I took a half of one of my anxiety pills I take for panic attacks. If you're used to my channel, I take anxiety medicine every night to keep me balanced, and then I have a pill that I very rarely take that is for like panic attacks or like really severe anxiety situations. And I knew this would be one of them, and they want you to take that medication because you have to really sit still in there. So what happened was I took half my pill. I took a half of my pill because I don't need a full one usually. I've never actually taken a full one, so I don't know how it would affect me. But I took it right before we left the house. It takes about half an hour to get there, and then you have to wait for like 20 to 30 minutes before you actually go in. I got there, I waited, I had to fill out some paperwork, and then apparently you can't wear your own clothes. You have to strip down 100%, wear these like paper shorts that are big enough for someone way bigger than me, and 2 gowns, one opening in the front and one opening in the back, and these horrible socks that like people who are like shoe size 12 could wear. I'm a size 8, and like they were falling off of me. You have to lock all your stuff up. And luckily though, I've seen like MRIs and TV shows, and like usually people are in the room with computers and like see you through the glass window and they can talk to you. So I thought my mom was gonna sit in there, but they actually let her sit right outside the machine with me, and she had to make sure she didn't have any like metal on her either. But I thought that was really good because I could like know she was like right there. This cat is driving me nuts. What do you think you're doing? Like, no wonder you have no water left. You keep spilling it all over the place. Look at you. You have to do this whole thing. And then the woman who's like, I guess not the radiologist, but like the tech, the MRI tech, she was super nice. And honestly, if the people who I went to, like the people who were working there, weren't so nice, I would have been so much more severe with my anxiety. But so she was kind of telling me what's going to happen. And as she was telling me, she told me how long the test is, how long I have to be in that tube for. And so for me, thinking 20 to 40 minutes, like, okay, I was trying to think about how long is that, like, one TV show on the CW, like, okay, I can do this. And then she told me it was an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, she was like, we can do it faster, but we've never have, because what we'd have to do is have you hold your breath for a severely long amount of time, and you wouldn't be able to do it. Like, you would pass out from that, from holding your breath for that long. And I actually thought I held my breath pretty good for the amount of time she did ask me, but she was like, so it's gonna take longer. She's like, I can try to do, you know, it faster. And she knew I was claustrophobic, so she was like very supportive of that. She showed me how it works and everything, and like put me in there before turning it on so I can kind of see what I needed. And they were very nice. Like, all the women who worked there were very nice. What I didn't know also is that I was gonna need an IV. I don't know that everyone who gets an MRI needs one, but I did, because it's not dye, but they have to put something in your veins. I still have right here, I don't know, could you see that little red dot? Probably not. From where the needle was in. I hate needles. Usually when I'm in the hospital or anything, they give me like a child needle, and they didn't do that because they needed, you know, to give me whatever they had to give me, not just saline. So they had to do that, which was annoying enough. And then they put this thing on you that's very heavy. It kind of feels like when you get an x-ray at the dentist, like that big heavy smock. And I guess someone who likes a weighted blanket might like it. Me, not so much. And they tie this thing around you. I remember having it when I got my stress test. It's kind of just like a cord they tie around your waist, but it's at your ribs. So when you breathe, it's kind of like if you wore like sweatpants that tie at the waist, but you wore them up by your ribs. When you breathe and your ribs kind of expand, it kind of goes, if that makes sense. So that was really bothering me as well. And I know I sound like such a baby and everything, and I'm not meaning to just like complain, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of not only, I guess, like what I went through to vent, but also because I know a lot of people are probably very nervous about an MRI, and people who are claustrophobic really want to know what to expect. And of course, every like hospital and every like testing center is going to be different and have their own set of rules, but I thought maybe my experience might help someone else, or just give you a little bit of like information, or make you feel like just go in knowing a little bit more of what to expect. Like, that was my purpose of this video. So they had to lay me down, and before she put anything on me, they sent me in. I couldn't take it. Oh my god, I was like, get me out of here. No. They had 2 pillows under my head, and if I went like this, like just a little bit, my nose would have been touching like the top. If you've ever been in a tanning bed, like I said, I'd say it's about like like a foot to 2 feet over your head. Like you put your arm out straight to touch the top at a tanning bed, and there's also a whole gap right next to you so you can like open it. But here, if I wanted to touch what was in front of me, like the top of the machine inside the tube, I would have put my hand right here and I could have touched the top of it. And it was so narrow and so small, and I don't know why your head has to be in the machine. Like if my whole body was in the machine, but my head like from here up was out, I would have been a lot better. But when she first sent me, I was like, no, you gotta stop. But they took out one of the pillows. I wasn't so close to the top. But still, like, I'm a very small person. I am quite petite. And I'm 5'4", I weigh not 104 pounds, and I felt like I couldn't fit into this tube, and I'm sure my claustrophobia made it a lot worse. But if I laid down my hands at my side, as I had to in there, the back of my hand next to my thigh could feel the wall. Like, I don't know how anyone who's bigger than me could fit in this machine. I don't understand. Like, and I don't want to, like, freak people out if they're not as small as me, because I don't really know how that works. Like, do they have bigger machines? Or am I just like, it was with my anxiety making it look smaller than it was? They give me earplugs, but you still have to be able to hear because I have to talk to you while you're in there to give you directions. The earplugs are very uncomfortable. I would have preferred like over-the-ear headphones. A lot of things online said, oh, like in the earplugs, or they give you headphones that you can listen to music or you can hear a TV show. And I was like, that sounds great, like to distract you. This was not like that. Nope, I couldn't hear anything. Like they didn't offer anything like that. I'm sure some places do, but they give me like regular, like those little headphones you'd wear to like sleep. And it just kind of like softens the sound. Like my mom had to wear them too because she was right outside the machine. So I had to lay down, they had to hook up all this stuff to me. I had a pulse ox on my finger, and they give you this little ball to squeeze, if you need them to take you out and like to come in. Like if you're having a panic attack inside, you really want to get out, like it's like a little ball. It kind of feels like the ball that they squeeze when they're doing your blood pressure. It's what they squeeze. It's like that. You can talk to, I guess, while you're in there. I didn't. I just felt like it would make me feel like I was moving my face and I was too close to the top. But they sit you in there and then you can feel it like moving up. It's kind of like when you're on a roller coaster, how you can feel like the slowing of going in, like starting it. And I could feel that. So I immediately shut my eyes. That really helped a lot. I would recommend keep your eyes shut. Like that is the best thing I could tell you if you have a fear of this kind of thing. They did offer me a blindfold, yeah, like a face mask that you wear to sleep. I should have said yes. Like thinking back, I said no. I was like, I don't need it. I felt like it would make me feel more claustrophobic. Like I couldn't move my arm. Like I don't think I would have been able to bend my arm and my elbow to take it off if I wanted to, and that's why I said no. But I should have said yes, simply because while I was in there, like if I wanted to just open my eyes for 1 minute, I wouldn't have felt comfortable because I would have seen like this thing right in front of my face and it would have freaked me out. So if I had that mask on, I could open my eyes but still see nothing. So I feel like that actually would have helped. So if I were you, you like feel like you might have trouble keeping your eyes closed in there, because then you can kind of picture anything you want in your mind. I would recommend the eye mask if they have one for you. If not, I would just bring one from home. Like I could have brought the one I use at night and like asked them if I could use it, and I'm sure they would have said yes because it's all just cotton. But I do feel like that really would have helped me if I did wear that. There's a lot of banging and clanging, and it's kind of like when you're sitting at home if there's a construction going on. It's like that, but it's like you're in the construction. Like it's like you're buried inside of a wall and there's banging going on all around you. Some of it was beeping, and I preferred that because it sounded more like a machine and it sounded more like medical and like not like the machine was gonna cave in on you. So the beeping I preferred. Also, you don't have to do this for every MRI, but if you are getting a cardiac MRI, they do make you hold your breath because your lungs are right near your heart, and to get a good image of your heart, your lungs can't be moving. So you do have to hold your breath. I don't think I had to hold my breath longer than 30 seconds, and that was the longest one. Like most of them were between 8 and like 12 seconds, so it wasn't that bad. And they have either the person who works there or like a machine saying like, okay, take a deep breath in, hold your breath. And then there's all these beeping and banging and all these sounds. In the beginning of the test, there was more beeping, and I did prefer that because it would be like beep, 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 and I can count the beats. Like I could count them, and I felt like that kind of calmed me a little bit, like focusing on that. And then they say, okay, breathe or relax, and you can breathe. Then you do breathe normally for a few seconds, and they do it again and again and again. when I was in the machine, I'm not sure for how long, but at one point I was like, I feel like I've been in here for an hour, and I was like, watch, it's only been 15 minutes. Like, I was about to ask my mom. She actually had her hand on my head. Like, I thought I was, like, the machine cut off right here, so my mom was sitting outside of the machine, and I thought she was, like, right there, like, holding my head like this, but she had to reach all the way into the machine in order to be touching my head, because sometimes she wasn't, and I was like, oh my god, where'd she go? So it was nice that I was able to have that, because I think I would have been so much more nervous if she couldn't have been there, like, in the room. I thought, like I said, she was gonna be in the room, like, behind, like, the room where they can see me, but I don't know they're there. So I was really glad that she got to, like, stay there with me. It made me feel so much better. I don't know why, like, it made me feel like if I said something, she could pull me out if she had to. Although, because she did have headphones in, and because the headphones in my ears kind of muffled the sound, I felt like I couldn't talk loud enough. Like, if I couldn't hear myself, could they hear me? I honestly don't even know much of what it looked like other than the first moment and, like, slowly going into the machine, because I wanted to not see it, because I felt like if I just kept my eyes open, I'd freak out so much. All I remember is it's kind of like a whitish gray, like that hospital machine color, and I think there's a camera in there so that the person can watch you real nice up close too. But other than that, I, like, tried not to look at any details in there, but it just kept going, the beeping and the clanging, and sometimes they'd be like, okay, hold your breath, and it'd be like a loud constant clang. Sometimes it'd be like a boom boom boom. I mean, you can't move while you're in there at all. Like, you can move your head. I could, like, you know, go like this or sniffle or things like that, but you couldn't move your arms, your legs. You weren't supposed to, like, readjust at all. So if you have trouble with that, that's going to be hard for you. So your doctor, cardiologist, I'm assuming who'd ever ordered the cardiac MRI, will give you a prescription for, like, 1 or 2 pills or something that you might need, like, for the night before and then the day of, like, anxiety pills to give you more of a, not sedated feeling, but if you ever taken anxiety meds before, it's not a sedated feeling. It just really helps you feel like you're not, like, gonna have a panic attack and shake and, like, freak out. So I still, like, I've talked about this before, but my anxiety pill, I can still think of my anxiety in my head, but I can't feel the physical symptoms, so that's kind of what it helps with. And it does help. Right before I went in, I was thinking of having another half of my pill, even though I had taken one about 45 minutes prior, but I didn't. I'd never taken a whole one. I didn't know how it would affect me. I didn't know if, like, I didn't know. So I just said no and, like, sucked it up. What was bothering me, again, not only was that thing around my ribs, but the IV hurt. I'm very sensitive to needles, and I could feel it, like, the pressure. I can actually still bruised right now, it hurts. But at one point she did come into the room and said I was doing well, and then pulled me out of the machine and readjusted some things, and she inserted something into my IV. I don't know if it was like a dye or something. I had a dye once in a CAT scan, and it makes your whole body feel like you're on fire. And I hated it. It made me feel like my blood was boiling from the inside out. This did not do that at all, but when it was injected and it went into my vein, I was in the machine already once I felt it, and it felt like a tingling up and down my arm. Like, it actually felt like you could feel the liquid or whatever it was be injected into my vein. Like, I thought if I looked at it, it would be like a color in my arm or something. Like, I don't really know how else to describe it, but that's what it felt like. And it lasted only a couple of seconds, that feeling, and then it went away. And at that point, when she pulled me out and did that, she was like, you only have 15 minutes left, and I was like, praise the Lord. I thought maybe it would be so much longer. Like, I was like, oh my god, why is she pulling me out? And after that, when she told me it was 15 minutes, I was like kind of more relieved knowing I'm close to the end. At that point, my legs did start falling asleep, and I have carpal tunnel, and, like, my fingers were starting to go numb and things like that. So I was starting to get pretty uncomfortable by then. But at the end, it was a lot more it was a lot more of the loud banging and not much of the beeping anymore. And there was a lot of longer breaths by then. My mom said that she tried to breathe with me when they said to breathe and, like, hold my breath, or like she tried to hold her breath when they told me to hold my breath, like, if she could do it, and she said she couldn't do it for as long as I did. I didn't feel like it was that long. There was like 1 or 2 breaths where I was like, oh my god, tell me I can breathe. But once she got me out and unhooked me from everything, I was able to sit up, which I didn't feel dizzy from, but it was definitely weird, like, when you're laying that still for that long. And they, like, removed all of the weird things from me, and then removed the needle, and then I went back to the room and got dressed, and when I had to get dressed, I had to remove all the little electrode things from the monitor they had put on my heart. And yeah, I got dressed and I left, and I was freaking starving, and I had to pee really bad because they give you an IV. just in case you want to know. And right now, like, I'm glad I did it and it's over with and I don't have to worry about it. Now I just have to worry about the results, which won't be in for another 3 days. I'm sure they're fine, and like my doctor's just like taking precaution. But it definitely was something that like I was very anxious about, and I think that it was fair how anxious I was as a claustrophobic person. This is not something that you're gonna go in and be like, oh, this is totally easy. Like, I didn't like the CAT scan, and I know the difference between a CAT scan and an MRI machine, and it's a big difference. Like, if you don't like a CAT scan, which is pretty much an open machine, like, you can kind of still see in the room that you're in. Like, if there was a person standing in the room with the CAT scan, you could see them. But in this you cannot. You're in a little tube. Like, you feel like, probably, you know how it probably feels? It's like those people who used to get blasted out of cannons at like circuses. Like, it feels like you're in like a little cannon. Like, it is like this. Like, even watching Riverdale, the episode where let's say Cole Sprouse, where Jughead was buried alive, like, he had more space in his coffin than you do in this thing. Like, you will not like this if you're claustrophobic, so I would highly recommend. And the thing is, you can't fall asleep because of loud noises and because you need to breathe a certain way, at least for this one. There are ones, like my mom, she got an MRI once on her shoulder, her neck, and it only took 20 minutes. So it does depend on what part of your body is getting the MRI. But like the woman said, I think she said there's one other MRI that's just as long as a cardiac one, but the cardiac one's pretty much the longest one, which is frustrating because of course that's the one I had to get. So it definitely wasn't a good experience, but I do think the women who worked there were a joy. They made everything so much easier than it could have been so much worse. Like, if this was 2 years ago, I would have been like, get me out of this machine. I would have been squeezing that ball a bunch of times. I never did. I would have had such a hard time. And they could tell I was nervous, but I definitely kept it together and handled it. I tried to think of different things while I was in there and like kind of picture like, okay, there's a breeze. They kind of feel like a fan blowing at you or like an AC. And it is a little chilly, but I always am someone who'd rather be cold than hot. And I felt like they needed that breeze because if you didn't have it, you'd feel so stuffy and even more claustrophobic. So that is good. And I think all of them do have that. I definitely did not enjoy it. If they were to be like, oh, like it didn't go in clearly, you have to come in again, I don't think I'd do it. And after this, I don't really know what happens. Like, I don't know if the results say something, if I'm gonna need like surgery, which is just like a whole other thing I don't even want to think about. But I do know, because I do have an irregular heart rate and I do have a fast heart rate, that when I am older, I am going probably to need another MRI eventually. I'm thinking like in my 40s, so I got a good amount of time to worry until then. But for now, I'm glad I am over with it and done with it. But I did want to share it with you guys. I'm not here to say like, oh, it's not as bad as you think it is. Like, it's worse. But you can handle it. Like, close your eyes is my biggest bit of advice. That's what helped me the most. Like, if I had opened my eyes, I don't think I would have handled it as well. And bring someone with you if you can. I think that's it for this video. It's already like a half hour long. I'll probably have to edit it down, but I just wanted to come on here and like give that experience, and I thought maybe it would help someone or help me just to let it like the vent about it. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll keep you guys in the loop, and yeah, let me know what kind of videos you guys want coming soon. I will be on Thursday. I think I'll be posting my opinion and like reaction to the Bachelor finale of Peter's season, so look out for that. A lot of you said you wanted that one, so I'll see you guys soon. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more from me.